In today's Cattle USA Daily Podcast episode with Gary Lezak, we are chatting all things weather. Right now, the weather pattern is setting up, and it is a really exciting time around here. Gary has been able to come on and discuss with us for the past few weeks what that weather pattern is looking like as it is setting up and some concerns that he has going forward for what we have seen. Is the drought growing? Is the drought shrinking? He doesn't give us that answer today, but we do kind of chat about it and some potential risk that we are going to be seeing going forward for this weather pattern as it sets up, and the excitement of what next week has to offer as the weather pattern full report will be coming out then as well. But Gary chats about everything else in between, and it's just a really great podcast to hear about as we finalize the setting up of the weather pattern. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into this episode with Gary. But before we do, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure that you are subscribed to our channel and that you like this episode. And if you are listening on any of our other podcast platforms, make sure that you are following the show and take a second to go rate and review it as well. Thank you for being here, and let's go hear from Gary. Good morning, Gary. Welcome back to the podcast. I feel like I haven't talked to you in so long, but it's literally just been a week, but it's been a really busy week. So I feel like I've lived like 4 lives between now and last week.
You make a good point. Good morning or good afternoon, whatever time it is, wherever you're listening to this. But you're right. It does seem like it's been like 3 or 4 weeks and it's only been a week. It may be the holiday. It's interesting. I had the same perspective. I feel like I haven't talked to you in weeks.
I know. It's crazy. I think we've both just had really busy weeks. And so it feels like we've lived like 5 lives between now and last Tuesday when we chatted. So I think the holidays are definitely a factor in it. We're probably going to be saying that for the next month and a half as we go through the craziness of December.
You just got back from a 5-day trip, but I understand you had some problem where you got some exercise in at the airport.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So we were coming back from Tucson on Monday evening, which I hate evening flights just to begin with. Like, I am a first flight out person if I can get it every single time. But we were hosting a retreat, and so we couldn't leave before everyone else and get the 6 a.m. flight out. It's only 6 a.m. or like 4 p.m. So we got the 4 p.m. flight out, and we get delayed about 30 minutes before we even get to the airport, which fine, whatever. We had an hour and a half layover in DFW. We get on the plane and we're sitting on the tarmac, and they let us know that it's a full ground stop in DFW. We sit on the tarmac for 40 minutes. And then once we get ready to go, get taken off, all of that jazz, now we are delayed 30 minutes and then another 40 minutes. So 70 minutes delayed in our hour and a half layover. We land, they make up about 5 minutes in the air for us. So we land, and then by the time we land, Gary, they don't have our terminal ready for us either. There's still another plane at our terminal. No. So then we're sitting on the tarmac once we get to DFW. You're stressed because
your other plane is going to take off, right?
Literally, I'm like, I can see our other plane. Can we just can you let us out real quick? Like, I'll catch a ride with my bags. If that works for you, I can just, hop down the slide, get a ride with my bags, and you can even put me in the undercarriage, just get me to Manhattan, right? Because we've been gone for 6 days now. Like, I'm ready to get home. I'm ready to be home. Well, I'm like, okay, we have, I think, 20 minutes between now and the time we take off. By the time we get off the plane, we get off the plane, I'm like, we're going to try. But we have to switch terminals, not just next to each other terminals across the airport from each other, Gary. Like, you get on the SkyTram and it's like 5 stops type of thing. So Allie and I, my employee, get off and we are sprinting through the airport. And guys, I just need to paint the picture for you real quick. Allie and I are in our Lululemon leggings and sweatpants, full sweat sets, dunks, and cowboy hats, pushed all the way down, sprinting through the airport with our carry-on luggage.
I need to see surveillance camera.
I need to see surveillance cameras of this, or I need to see the 14-year-old that had his phone walking through the airport that took a video of us. I really hope it goes viral on TikTok for you, bud, because we were a sight to behold. Running through that airport. Not like we would be a sight to behold just in a general day, but running through the airport dressed like that was just hilarious. We sprint to our terminal, we get there, and our plane is still there. Like, we're coming down the skywalk, I can see our plane still there. I'm like, Allie, our plane's still there, we made it. We turn the corner and the door is closed. My heart goes immediately out. I'm like, all the way to my feet. The door was closed. I was like, there's no way they're gonna let us on. The door is closed. I don't care who you sweet talk, who you flash your boobies to, like, you're not gonna get on. Like, this is not happening. And we sit there and we watch our baggage get loaded.
Okay.
And I'm like, yeah, so our bags made it. We didn't. Yeah, I was so ticked
They would
about
not
that.
open the door. They would not let you on.
No. Nope, they would not let us on. Once they close the door, it's like federal policy. They won't open it up back up
Wow.
again. Yeah. So we did make it to the only advantage of sprinting through the airport is we made it to the American help desk first. So we got our flight switched, and of course the flight the next morning was fully booked. The 10 a.m. flight back to Manhattan was fully booked, so we didn't get on that one. So they put us on the 4 p.m. one, standby for the 10 a.m. one, and I kind of look at Allie, and this is due to weather too, and so they're not going to book us a hotel. I kind of look at Allie, and I'm like, it's 7.5 hours home. And granted, it is like 9 p.m. at night right now.
You did not.
Like,
you did not rent a car.
Yeah, we did. We went to the rental car place. We went to the rental car place, and I didn't even like look online because everything I saw online said that everyone was fully booked for the day, all of that jazz. So I was like, let's just go to the rental car place and let's try and get a car. And so I literally counter hopped until I found a place that would give us a car to drive to Manhattan.
You drove 7.5 hours?
I drove 7.5 hours, and Allie only drove one. I would like to make that known. So I drove us out, and then we got to Buc-ee's, and we got our brisket sandwiches, and I was a brisket sandwich and some energy drinks, and I was ready to conquer the world, guys. Like, give me a 5-hour energy and a brisket sandwich from Buc-ee's, and give me the nuclear codes. Like, I am ready to rock and roll at that point. And so we stop. Allie drives for an hour, and she's like, then she pulls over and she's like, Lauren, I'm falling asleep. And I'm like, you brat. Because once Allie's done driving, like, she's done driving. And which I fully anticipated. I was ready to have to drive the whole thing. And we drive back to Manhattan. We get back at, I think, 6:30 in the morning.
You didn't have to take a
DFW.
train or no trains?
No, there's none of that.
Otherwise, we have the whole episode of planes, trains, and automobiles.
There were no trains, unfortunately. I think that is there even a train that goes from Kansas City to Dallas? That would be cool if there was. There
Well,
should
anyway,
be. But yes, that was my weekend adventure. I'm
Main
really
home,
tired.
that is just crazy. And I guess it makes sense to do the rent-a-car version because you weren't sure what plane you were going to be on. So
We weren't sure what plane we were going to be on, and honestly, the rental car was cheaper than getting a hotel at the airport anyway. And so I was like, let's just get home, because both of us were ready to be home. We'd been gone for almost a week at that point. Like, we were like, let's push through. I put some hard rock on, and I was
there you go.
I was like, it was like my Nam flashbacks to like ranching, going on the road with my dad when I was 10 years old, and he'd like have his coffee and had his little TV cassette tapes and all the things with all the different playlists that we'd play. And I was playing some hard rock, and I was ready to go.
I had one real brief story. In Arizona at the Phoenix airport, there's a terminal ABC, and they're A and C are like a mile apart. Okay.
Yes.
And so I landed and I looked up and I saw I was in C. My next flight was at A something. So I sprinted and ran, and I felt like I was getting a heart attack. This is a long time ago, 30 years ago. And I was about 30. And so I'm running through the airport. I have to catch this plane. I get all the way to the C's, and to the C, whatever it was, C20, let's say. And I look up, and it wasn't to where I was going. So I looked up again, and I was like, oh no, it's actually an A. Okay. So I had to run all the way back, again, close to having a heart attack. And I made it, but I was out of breath.
Well, that's impressive. I'm so happy that you made that flight. I would have been so ticked if I had gotten there and realized it was back in the terminal that I just sprinted from.
When you're looking at the board, you're like, oh my gosh, oh
yeah.
I looked at it wrong or something. But whatever. There's a few flight delays today. There should be no problem. Saturday and Sunday there may be flight delays for people. Just so you know, that's why we're talking about this, because we're talking about this is still weather related.
It is still weather related. The reason I was delayed in DFW was because of the weather that Texas was having.
Yeah, they were having thunderstorms, so.
Yes, full roundabout there. And my only qualm was the fact that I had to drive the entire way back to Kansas in fog. The whole 7.5 hours.
Wow.
I think there was maybe 1 hour of it that I wasn't in fog. It was terrible. Absolutely terrible. I would rather drive in a blizzard than I would fog.
Well,
Like,
fog is
ugh.
could be the most scary and deadly thing because if there is an accident and if the visibility is really low, you could bump if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. That's how it could be a disaster.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So that was my only true weather qualm this week was that. But hey, we got rain here in Kansas while I was gone. So maybe I just need to leave a little bit more often and Kansas will get some rain and we'll be hi ho cheerio
So
going along about our way.
that was a nice little storm a few days ago that it actually was a dying storm. The weather pattern we're in, and welcome to our Cattle USA podcast here. I'm just telling you, this weather is really, really tough. Here's what's going on. Remember, if you're new to the LRC, the weather pattern is cycling and regularly. And we've been patient. You've been patient. And thank you to Cattle USA. We got a couple of new customers because of you guys. We have a weather tool we'll tell you about later that I think every farmer should have, every dairy farmer should have, etc. Cattle farmer. And let me just tell you, the pattern is tough. Here, the pattern is cycling regularly, and it is November 26th as we're recording this, and we're going into early December. We are likely still in the first cycle of this year's pattern. I think it's a very long cycle, just a little hint there. Not confirmed that yet. We'll confirm that in a couple weeks. But let's say it's a 2-month cycle, 60, 62 days, 64 days maybe. We're starting to identify it could be something like that. So that's a top secret situation here. But I guess I can't confirm that. What has happened in Denver, Colorado? Okay, here is this first full cycle. I think you know this. It has not snowed here yet. It hasn't snowed here. Aspen, Breckenridge, Keystone, Winter Park, Vail, all the ski areas have basically man-made snow and no real snow on top of that for a week or two now. It's crazy. You can see the tops of the mountains have a little bit of snow in them, but just a little bit. So the pattern that has set up is producing that. So maybe in the next few days, the first snow is going to happen where I live here in Golden, Colorado. It's already the latest first snow that has ever happened. So what causes that? I mean, it is a whole LRC reasoning. There are 4 core principles of the discovery I made 40 years ago. One of them is that a unique weather pattern sets up every fall, and we're in that setting up period. Unique means it's unlike any other. Okay, it's unique. It's a one of a kind. This year's pattern is unlike any pattern I've ever experienced. And here it is producing the no snow, the flight delays that you have in Dallas from thunderstorms. What is this pattern? What does it mean for planting, growing, harvest, for your activities on your farm or ranch coming up here in the next year? The good news is that we will have that weather equation solved for you on some level within a few weeks. And by January, you're going to be able to look at the forecast March through the summer into September as we get to close to harvest and be able to plan week by week what's going to happen. Right now, we aren't sure because we need to identify what that cycle length is. And then our model, the only model in the world that uses cycling weather patterns to predict the weather, will accurately plan the weather for you. So if it shows 3 weeks of wet weather at the end of March, then you might want to plant before that or right after that. Okay. So if it shows 3 or 4 dry weeks at that period of time, you can plan accordingly. So is a drought going to develop? We'll be analyzing and producing that forecast for you in the next few weeks. On December 5th, we're going to be issuing our winter forecast. So that will be something that starts to lay out the blueprint for your planning purposes. So just know that the pattern is setting up, Lauren. It's fascinating. Do you have any questions?
I don't know. I think that it's just so crazy that like we've been talking about this pattern setting up for the past, I don't know, since October pretty much, right? And we're finally to the point where it's like, okay, we think we have a semblance of an idea of what is happening, what is going on, and it is like what is going to happen in Colorado, in Vail, all of those places that haven't had that moisture over the past few weeks in this pattern. What does that kind of look like from a drought standpoint? That if people are listening to this and they're like, okay, I'm not in like that section of Colorado, but I'm in this section of Nebraska and we haven't gotten rain in 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks, or not like a significant amount. How does that reflect into the patterns?
Well, we're going to watch the drought monitor to see if the drought's expanding. Last year, the drought was contracting, and we made the accurate prediction for the fourth year in a row for the corn and agriculture and cattle ranchers belt across the nation. It's 4 years in a row. And so the droughts are usually expanding or shrinking, and I'll be able to take you through that. Right now, we'll have to monitor that. We'll have an update on that here pretty soon. So we'll be able to forecast that. But that's one thing we'll be able to know what's going to happen is, are you going to really need some more increased drought insurance, And so that's something we'll try to get to you by January or February so you can plan that. Secondly, the outlook for what we're seeing right now with the lack of snow in Colorado, what does that mean? It means fires. There hasn't been a fire season in the Rocky Mountains, believe it or not, for the first 2 to 3 years I've been here. But next summer, I can predict probably right now there's going to be a problem. There's going to be increased fires. We've got this beautiful view out here in Golden, Colorado. I can see the mountains and I can see the foothills, and there has been hardly any smoke the first 3 years I've been here. I can almost guarantee that's not going to be the case this summer. We're going to have smoke and fire danger. And that's one thing for Colorado and Wyoming that is almost for sure. Okay, I'm not making that call yet, but that's one of the things I'm analyzing, and it's an important factor. The Forestry Service out there needs these forecasts advance so they know to plan ahead of time. So if you wonder what can you do for long-range forecasting, you can plan what type of seed you're going to put you can plan for what type of pests might come out this summer if it's hot and dry or hot and moist. There's lots of different applications to applying long-range weather forecasts to your plans that will help save you time and money going forward. That's our goal for a very small cost that we have you'll get some of that information here for sure, but I highly recommend our Weather 2020 Vision Dashboard that a few of you do have now, and it gives you that forecast day by day, week by week, month by month. We'll show you how to use it. And we plan on improving that product. It's not that much, not that expensive but everyone should have it. But these are the advantages of long range forecasting, and we've cracked the code. It's not 100% accurate. We're predicting the future. If you're predicting the stock market and you're 51% accurate, you're probably going to make some money. And if you're 60% accurate, you're really going to make a killing on the stock market. Same thing with weather. If we're 51% accurate, it's good. And 60% accurate is really good. When it comes to severe weather outbreaks, when hail and tornadoes are going to threaten your area, our forecasts are 90% accurate. So somewhere in that 50 to 90% range is our accuracy. And if you're just wondering, other systems out there are not, either they don't do it because they can't, or their accuracy is about 25%. Like the European model at day 15, when you see there's a snowstorm showing up, there's a 20 to 25% chance that's right. So are you going to count on that? No, because there's a 75 to 80% chance it's wrong or it'll move by 5 days. So our accuracy is much better than that. So pretty interesting.
Absolutely. Is there anything else that you're kind of keeping your eye on as this weather pattern is setting up? We kind of talked about drought. We talked about the potential for fires, especially in the mountains this next summer. You're kind of touching on a few other things. Is there anything else that you're keeping your finger on the pulse for?
Yeah, just all regions of the world, how it's going to impact the southern hemisphere. They have their own cycle down there, believe it or not. It's a different cycle, but the cycle down there, how does it impact Argentina and Brazil? And how does that impact soybean and corn prices? We'll always be looking into that. We have a daily report that we provide as well that goes into the southern hemisphere a lot. And then I'm still analyzing this weather pattern to see what's going to happen. And so we're going to learn a lot more. By December 5th, I'm issuing that winter forecast. It's really a year ahead forecast, and we'll publish that on our site. We also have the severe weather guides that we track for you as well, severe weather, winter weather, and tropical weather. So for low cost, that's all on there. And if you do purchase any of these things, it does support what we're doing. Because remember, we're not funded by government grants like some of this BS that's out there. In fact, let's talk about some of that. Okay, one thing I want to talk about there, you may have heard this hype of what's called sudden stratospheric warming. I think we might have talked about that in the last couple podcasts, but sudden stratospheric warming, the stratosphere is very stable way up above us, okay, 40,000 feet up to 100,000 feet. No weather happens in the stratosphere. It is completely calm up there. So when you hear sudden stratospheric warming is going to displace the polar vortex, which is going to allow for an Arctic blast to come down into the United States. Well, they've been saying that for 3 weeks. There's no Arctic blast. There's a cold blast coming down, but it's not really an Arctic blast coming down right now, and it's going to warm right back up again. So you have sudden stratospheric warming, you have polar vortex, you have atmospheric river, you have bomb cyclone. Here's what a bomb cyclone is. It's a very strong storm system, a powerful storm in the Pacific that's heading towards Seattle or San Francisco. Do you have to call it a bomb cyclone? I say, no, do not. It's just a very strong storm system. What's wrong with saying, you won't believe there's powerful storms coming into California? No, we have to say it's a bomb cyclone. I won't say it, okay? Atmospheric river, the LRC, the river fair above us cycling, that's an atmospheric river. When somebody says there's an atmospheric river producing rain and snow in California, no, that's a series of storm systems coming into California. It's a series of storms. It's not an atmospheric river. You have to say atmospheric river just to get clicks. So you have atmospheric river, you have stratospheric warming. What's stratospheric warming? Does that mean anything to any one of you? It means nothing to me, and I know it's wrong. Okay, it's sudden stratospheric lowering, if anything. But what does that mean for you? It doesn't mean anything. Here's what it means to you. There's going to be an Arctic blast. Let's prepare. An Arctic blast is forming. Sudden stratospheric warming, the earliest it's ever happened ever. Number one, I don't believe that either. And number one, it's not even happening. Their forecasts were wrong. So not only were they hyping things up, they're wrong. They're wrong and they're hyping things up. That's horrible. It's one thing to hype up, hey, there's a bomb cyclone, and then there's a very strong storm that comes in. No, there's going to be stratospheric warming. It didn't even happen. Okay, sorry.
Yes.
I had to go.
No, I love it. I love it. I agree with that. That like if you're gonna hype it up to that degree, it better happen, or at least it better get close to happening, right? Like we better be on the brink like the whole time, like, oh yeah, this is totally hitting, this is totally happening, and then all of a sudden, in the last second, something changes and something shifts, right? If you're gonna be wrong, but you can't be wrong and try to hype it up for clicks and media coverage and all of those things at the same time. And I think that that goes back to like so many different industries deal with that of media push and trying to get the clicks, trying to get the views, trying to get people interested in what they are saying. And so they have to, instead of saying really strong storm system coming through, they got to say cyclone bomb coming through in order, because then people are like, what's that? What is that? I've never heard of that before. Well, you've heard of it before. You've experienced it before. They just put a new name on it.
Right, exactly. And this is a whole different subject. My mind's going all over the place right now, but ice storms. Yeah, there was one time where I didn't think there'd be an ice storm in Kansas City. Okay, and it's very difficult because what if I'm wrong? I thought it would warm up to 33 degrees. It was like 28 degrees and raining, and the ice is starting to accumulate. Oh boy. And it is warm convection. It's up to 29, it's up to 30, it's up to 31, it's up to 32, and the ice is just starting to get thick enough where there's power outages, and it warmed up to 33, and it's amazing that 1 degree, all of a sudden everything starts melting. So on my way home, I saw a power flash. I'm like, oh no, here we go. I'm going to be wrong. But there might have been 1 or 2, but 1 or 33. We were like, I was so precise, and I was right. The ice storm failed to really materialize because it warmed up to 33 degrees and everything melted, as I thought it would, but
Crazy.
But it's very close. I try to be too precise sometimes. That one, I was right. I didn't get any accolades. I didn't get up in the morning and everyone's like, wow, Gary, you were right. Everyone else was wrong. No, you don't hear that. They only tell you when you're wrong.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, I am very excited for next week to be able to chat more about everything setting up and kind of breaking down that full weather report and the full LRC report that you're hopefully going to have by next week as well to share with all of us in our audience, and so that we can come here to you guys and be able to talk about the weather for the next year based off of the cycle that is setting up right now. So I'm very excited for that, Gary. I cannot wait.
We will make a whole bunch of conclusions next week. The full report will be out on the 5th. So
yes, I cannot wait. To all of our listeners out there, thank you for listening to another episode. If anything that Gary and I chatted about interests you, make sure you check out the show notes down below. We've got an exclusive Cattle USA link for Weather 2020, so you can get all of that we talked about at a pretty significant discount for all of our listeners. So make sure you go check that out. Gary, thank you for your time. Thank you for your knowledge. And to all of our listeners, we will see you all tomorrow on another episode. Have a good one, y'all.